In a world where nothing is certain,
Alright.
only music can help you to find the right way. The way you should follow today. This way will take you to the best genres of music from around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
DJ Double G. Yo, what the baddest mix this? No man, no tell me nothing.
Well now. Hey. Whoa, well. The promised land. Going to the promised land. Yes, the promised land. Oh gosh, now to the promised land. Yeah. Make a trip down to Asmara. Then we stop in Addis Ababa. Made our way to Shashamani land. Riding on the King's Highway to the promised land. Going to the promised land. Oh gosh. To the promised land, oh, to the promised land. Well, there's plenty of land for you and I, by and by. Lots of food to share for everyone. No time for segregation in the promised land. Oh gosh, take me to the promised land. It's the promised land, oh, that's the promised land. Oh, well, the promised land, going to the promised land. That's the promised land, oh gosh now, to the promised land. Yeah.
Imagine Ghana like California with Sunset Boulevard. Johannesburg would be Miami. Somalia like New York with the most pretty light. The toughest pretty car. Every New Year the African Times Square lock off. Imagine Lagos like Las Vegas. The ballers them a ball. Angola like Atlanta. A pure plane take off. Bush Gardens in a Mali. Chicago in a Chad. Magic Kingdom in a Egypt. Lily Delta in Sudan. The Congo like Colorado, Fort Knox in Gabon. People living in Morocco like the state of Oregon. Algeria warmer than Arizona. Bring your sun lotion. Early morning class of yoga on the beach in Senegal. Ethiopia the capital, be the congregation. And that's how I belong, and there the king come from. I can see us all in limos, Jaguars and limos,
Riding on the King's Highway to the promised land.
Yes, indeed. Going to the promised land. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it be you're part of the world. Of course, it is the soothing transition, but with the difference this evening, of course, because we celebrate, of course, Emancipation Day in the Caribbean, of course, indeed, not just in Jamaica, in St. Lucia, and elsewhere, of course, indeed. Let me say a special good evening to DJ Vision, locked in and loaded. Of course, sir, you will hear the crowned king of reggae, of course, indeed. But of course, we just played a version of The Promised Land featuring Dennis Emmanuel Brown, the crowned prince of reggae, and then, of course, him teaming up, of course, with the king's son, Junior Gong Marley, on another edition of The Promised Land. Indeed. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time you're part of the world. And of course, like I said, tonight happens to be a different setting for the program Soothing Transition this evening. of course, we're having a party this evening and a whole bunch more because, of course, we have information, lots of information for you this evening. Normally, I would be flying solo, but of course, we have my brother from another mother, of course, my partner in crime. I'm speaking of none other than Jazzy Smith. And of course, we have a special guest locked in the studios with us. He's also from St. Lucia and, well, originally from Trinidad, but he resides in St. Lucia. Of course, I'm speaking of Matthew Anderson. And of course, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening to you,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Indeed. Welcome,
Yeah, man.
welcome to Zollyhood Radio, and of course, the soothing transition this evening, sir.
Yes, and the pleasure is mine. And honored to have been invited as a guest by none other than Mr. Jazzy Smith himself.
Indeed.
That thought that I had a contribution valuable enough to present to your honored guest. So here I am tonight.
And we thank you, sir, publicly for taking some time out of your busy schedule just to share with us, not only to myself and Mr. Smith, but to the listeners worldwide at large. Indeed.
Yes, indeed. A bit of a correction there. I'm not originally from Trinidad, but my accent is originally from Trinidad, so that's always it,
You have some parentage, some lineage from Trinidad?
Well, yes, I do, but mostly persons who left St. Lucia went up there and became citizens of Trinidad, because once you get up there, and the pan hits you, you ain't coming out so. You know how it is. So you go up there and get some bus up short and thing and all them roti. You don't live in there so. That's what happens once you get up there.
So you're born and bred St. Lucian then?
Yeah, born and bred St. Lucian. I travel a lot. I work in the marine field.
Oh.
I had to fix boats.
Oh. No. I realized something, Jazzy. Can you hear the Darren Summit in this man?
Oh, now you hear the Darren Sabi now. Oh, now you hear the Darren Sabi. But there is a song which goes, St. Lucians, by the time they travel, wherever they land, they kind of just pick up the accent of wherever they land. So that's our problem, with St. Lucians, wherever they land, they just pick up the accents.
Pick up everything that everyone else does put on the floor, eh? Pick it up, but at the end of the day, it serves you well. It serves you well. Of course, indeed. We have, like I said, a lot to talk about, and lots of music to play for you. But most importantly, is to share the information for you or with you as it regards to the Emancipation celebration, not only, like I said, not only in Jamaica, but sure, of course, in the Caribbean, indeed. And I'm not sure exactly where to start, Jazz. But
let me start by just giving a little bit of history as to the whole emancipation, and I think then we can branch out from there. So it is said that Emancipation Day is observed in many former European colonized in the Caribbean and areas of the United States and various dates to commemorate the emancipation of slaves of African descent. In much of the former British territories in the Caribbean, Emancipation Day is marked on August 1st, commemorating the anniversary of the Slavery Abolishment Act of 1833. On August 1st, 1985, Trinidad and Tobago became the first independent country to declare Emancipation Day as a public holiday to commemorate the abolishment of slavery. Historically, August 1st was known as West India's Emancipation Day, and it has become a key mobilization tool and a holiday for the anti-slavery movement of the United States. So that's just a little history on the whole Emancipation Day. And, like you mentioned, majority of the Caribbean, some American and other colonized countries, there is some form of Emancipation Day. Not all of them celebrate on August 1st, but they in each have their own holiday where they remember the abolition of slavery.
Indeed. Mr. Anderson, you want to chime in here?
Yes, I would like to say that when we deal with the historical account, when it relates to slavery and when it relates to emancipating or freeing, or how the colonists decided that it was time that they rid themselves of the burden of having to take care of the slaves from that perspective and introduce them to what is called freedom, which was really another way into apprenticeship. Because a lot of these days still had apprenticeship, so you were freed, but you were required to show up to work on Monday morning as usual. This time, it was your choice to show up. But if you didn't show up, your rent had to get paid, because imagine they made you free, but you didn't have a house to stay, you didn't have anything of your own, really. So, but I say, you're free now to go find your own house, but she didn't give you any money to purchase the house or anything like that. So, you're still in your mother's house, And so, the term emancipation is something tonight we really have to delve into. What does it really mean? And that is part of emancipation from mental slavery as well as physical slavery.
Indeed. Well, listeners, I'm sure you've garnered some information there as regards to Emancipation Day. And of course, we will dive into additional information as it regards to the Emancipation Day celebration and other things indeed. But before we continue the discussion, of course, it is now 15 minutes after the hour, of course, indeed. And like I said, we'll be with you until, well, it's 3 solid hours of Jamaican and Caribbean and all that kind of stuff as it regards to emancipation, of course, indeed. And then do remember, coming up Tuesday of next week, Jamaica celebrates their 62nd anniversary of independence indeed.
And South Carolina responsibility dreadlocks. No, it's a greetings in the name of the mighty king, and I am played by the king of the star. Bring an iron South Carolina responsibility dreadlocks. Yes.
Whoa, well, the promised land, going to the promised land. Yes, the promised land, oh gosh now, to the promised land.
Imagine Ghana like California with Sunset Boulevard. Johannesburg would be Miami. Somalia like New York with the most pretty light, the toughest pretty car. Every New Year the African Times Square lock off. Imagine Imagine Lagos like Las Vegas. The ballers them a ball. Angola like Atlanta. A pure plane take off. Bush Gardens in a Mali. Chicago in a Chad. Magic Kingdom in a Egypt. Lily Delta in Sudan. The Congo like Colorado. Fort Knox in a Gabon. People living in Morocco like the state of Oregon. Algeria warmer than Arizona. Bring your sun lotion. Early morning class of yoga on the beach in Senegal. Ethiopia the capital, be the congregation. And that's how I belong, and there the king come from. I can see us all in limos, Jaguars and limos.
Riding on the king's highway to the promised land. Moving to the promised land. Oh God, in the promised land. Yeah, I'm the promised land.
Promised land, I picture Porsches, Basquiat portraits, pinky rings, realistic princesses, heiresses, bunch of kings and queens. Plus, I picture fortunes for kids out in Port-au-Prince. Powerless, they not allowed to fit, but not about to slip. Vision promised land with fashion like Madison Ave, Manhattan, Saks Fifth Avenue, Rodeo, relaxing, popping labels. Promised lands, no fables. This where the truth's told. Use them two holes above your nose to see the proof, yo. Imagine a contraption that could take us back when the world was run by black men. Back to the future, anything can happen. If these are the last days and 100-foot waves come crashing down, I get some hash, some pounds, pass around some bud, then watch the flood. Can't stop apocalypse, my synopsis is catastrophic. If satellites is causing earthquakes, will we survive it? Honestly, man, it's the sign of the times and the times at hand.
There's a lot of work to be done, oh God, in the promised land. Yeah, talking about the promised land. Oh God, take me to the promised land. The promised land. Oh, the promised land. The promised land. There's plenty of land for you and I, by and by. Lots of food to share for everyone. The life of segregation in the promised land. It's the promised land. The promised land. Moving to the promised land. Oh. There's a lot of work to be done, oh gosh, in the promised land.
Now I say greetings in the name of the mighty king, and I is played by the king of his life, bringing I am self because I know responsibility dreadlocks. Yes.
Mama Africa, Mama Africa, am I coming home? Am I coming home? Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I'm feeling fine. Mama Africa, Mama Africa, am I coming home? Am I coming home? Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I'm feeling fine, and I hope you're fine too. Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I hope when you hear these words, your grace turn blue. Grace turn blue. I'm saying these words to let you know how much I care, and I won't let go, even though Mama Africa, Mama Africa, am I coming home? Am I coming home? Hello, Mama Africa, coming home.
Yes, indeed, indeed, indeed. Hello, Mama Africa. courtesy of course, the man himself, Mr. Garnet Smith Sr., aka Garnet Silk. Of course, yeah, a man with such a powerful, he's so powerful when it comes to his music. They call him the Archangel, but unfortunately, he's not Gabriel. Indeed, indeed, indeed. And of course, welcome back. Like I said, welcome to another edition of the Soothing Transition, but with a difference this evening. Of course, it is Emancipation Day that is celebrated throughout the Caribbean and some parts of the US. Of course, indeed. And of course, like I said, we have Jazzy Smith in studio, as well as we have Mr. Matthew Anderson out of St. Lucia as well, and we're just joined by Mr. Bill Morris from he's somewhere around. Good evening to you, Mr. Morris.
Right here.
Good evening to you, sir.
Blessings, good evening.
And you're live on Zollyhood Radio.
Yes, welcome.
Indeed.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I had to adjust something. Sorry about the delay. I crashed.
So, of course, we were just talking about, Jazzy was just, he has just given us some history or a small history on the Emancipation Day celebration. But for Jamaicans, of course, Morris, you were from Jamaica as well, so you understand exactly how we do in Jamaica. One solid week from the 1st straight through until the 6th of August.
Correct.
Every year we have a celebration, and of course we're gonna try as much as we can to get those at least one or two celebrations during the rest of the week for you. If not, well, then we'll try some other time, but we'll see exactly what we can do for the rest of the week. Jazz, you just gave some information as it regards to the history, a small history of the whole Emancipation Day celebration. Explain to the listeners in detail what does that mean exactly?
Okay, so emancipation for us as St. Lucians, as Caribbeans, marked, a point where our quote unquote freedom from our colonizers were obtained. But like my brother Anderson mentioned, that freedom was basically of an illusion. As yes, we were free, but we still had to fend for ourselves, and who was the one providing most of the accommodation of housing, giving us cash, to buy our basic needs and so on and so forth, was from our former colonizers, So the freedom then and the freedom now as black people, has not necessarily brought us to a point where we as black people can fend for ourselves without heavily relying on our colonizers for assistance. And I use the word because I don't think any one country can be totally reliant, on whatever they produce, especially a small country like ours, But we as Caribbean islands, I think one of the things that we lack is unity. I don't think there's much unity amongst Caribbean islands, even though we have CARICOM, OECS, we still have that same statement, and I think was coined by a Jamaican, 1 from 10 believes not. So we still have a lot of way to build our consciousness, our identity, our freedom, and freedom for me would crowned as we've been able to meet our basic needs without depending on our colonizers for our survival.
Mm-hmm. Morris, you want to chime in here?
Sure. Jamaica, as you know, just under the same heading, after we got our independence, Jamaica actually got independence and everything, and then with Emancipation Day, as most of the Caribbean countries, as you know, Trinidad and all of that, just around the same, in the 18th century, when the colonization, decide, okay, it's time to let go. And most of these slaves were brought mostly from Africa and so forth, and brought into Jamaica and into other parts of the Caribbean island. And after the 18th, when the decree was sent out that slaves should be freed on August morning, one of the things what is Emancipation Day really like?
Mm-hmm.
Emancipation Day is a national holiday celebrated annually, in August 1st. But before it was actually, it was really called Queen Victoria's Day. It wasn't really Emancipation Day at that time.
Named after
back in the earlier years.
Named after
and then
Queen
after
Victoria.
Right. They used to more salute Queen at August morning, and they would normally think about August morning come and Queen Victoria will give her freedom. But then you see after that, that's when they change it in the later years. They change it to Emancipation Day, which was after I left Jamaica when it was actually started to be called Emancipation Day. And that is like in the late 70s, I think it was, or something like that, or later on down, when they decided to change it to Emancipation Day.
Mm-hmm.
But when you really think of it, slave was fully abolished in the British West. When they including Jamaica along with other West Indies islands, which got the freedom at the same time back in the 18th century. And then why is August 1st today? I was looking at something and that's why the formal abolition of slavery in the British colony took effect on August 1st, 1838, following a 6-year period. So, after the Slavery Abolition Act was put in place. So 60 years still after, they had to wait before they actually got the freedom.
Yeah.
And and you see, that's why sometimes I have to say to some people, do you really love your freedom? Because if I may, there's a scripture which I always use with this, but when I hear about Emancipation Day, and that's Galatians 5 verse 1. It says, once you have been free, you should not want to entangle yourself again with the yoke of bondage or the yoke of slavery. You have to once you're free, your mind is free. But is your body free? Your mind has to be free and your body has to be free as well. Yeah. Because you can't be thinking one way and then still have one foot in and say, you see, that's why I think you got to love your freedom. And as Jazzy said earlier, whole set of freedom. And I love my freedom just the same, and anybody would love their freedom. And you don't love your freedom because I know most of those slaves, from what I've read and from documentaries that I've seen and heard, it makes you quiver when you see how they were treated. Think of a slave, how he was treated on a plantation field, on a cotton field, on a tobacco field, on a plantation field. The pain and agony. But you see, they had hope. They had a dream that one day they know they would be free. Because if you notice, most of the slaves, they were somewhat spiritually inclined.
Yeah.
If you notice that. They were spiritually inclined. That's one thing with the slaves. They were spiritually inclined. Because if you notice, most of the songs that we even hear today and sing today is coming from way back that time. Look at a song like Amazing Grace. It's coming from way back that time.
Yeah.
Way back. Because they used to sit on the cotton field in the evening hours after finish all them other slaves, and they would sing songs of praise and dance. So you can just imagine the celebration that took place August morning when they heard that freedom came. You can just imagine the jubilee. So you can just imagine the jubilee that took place even last night in my hometown, St. Anne, praise be to God, at Silverville last night. I heard it. From what I've seen, I watched some of it last night, and it was awesome indeed. Awesome. It makes you stop and think, and it makes you wonder. Do Jamaicans realize how far they're coming from?
But
Do they learn to appreciate what they have? And we have to learn to teach our children who are coming up how to accept and how to appreciate what is given. The hardship that these slaves had to go through, pain and agony and bitterness to bring this whole thing about. Yes, it may still be hanging over our head because there are some places which are still using women and children as slavery.
But here's the thing before Anderson chimes in. Here's the thing, Morris. The thing is, if you check the history of, let's say, Jamaica, the Maroons, for example, they are, if no one else believe or symbolizes the day specifically, the Maroons do. Trust me.
Yes, they do. For real. They surely do.
Because these Maroons, they believe in one thing and one thing only. They believe in movements. They believe in less pressure. They believe in I and I alone, in terms of no slaves or no one should be, should be chained and put to work. It's your choice if you want to.
It's your choice. That's your choice if you want to. But nobody should be compelled to do that.
Exactly.
And then, be used like that. No. I did a clip some time ago about Nana. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, Nana. And she was one of the slaves. And she was really into helping the slaves to freedom. To get slaves to freedom, because she was a part of the Maroon also. And she, along with Kodjo, and I don't know if you know, Nani also played a big role in slavery. A lot of people did not know, because if the little I learned about Nani, they didn't teach me much about Nani. The little that I learned about Nani, all we ever heard, Nani was a Maroon, and what did she do? We didn't get much of what she did. After I started reading things, I realized what Nani really did. Yeah. Even Sham Sharp himself was a part of the Baptist. Did you know the Baptist movement was also a part of helping to bring freedom to Jamaica?
No.
The Baptist movement played a lot in the slave trade.
Indeed. I want to chime in, Anderson, here, Bill, but there's a question I want to ask you specifically. But, Anderson?
Yeah, I'm here.
Anything you want to add?
Well, yeah, if there is reason for jubilation from the standpoint of, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I say there is reason for jubilation from the perspective of where we were when we were in chains and shackles and things like that. And so the celebration to say that we were emancipated, I could see it from a historical standpoint. But from where we are now, we no longer need to struggle and drag that back here, because rightfully and truthfully, we need to get past the thank you, and we need to get past the fact that we were free, because freedom, our freedom, we're supposed to be free men. So we need to get past that. What we need to understand is, as long as we think that the things that we need is something that has to be given to us, then we'll never be free. Until we can realize that what we need, we already have. The question is, how do we cultivate it? And that aspect that we need to definitely strive for when we talk about emancipation, because as long as we think it's something, even reparation is a trap, because you're still looking to another person who's going to hand you something, piece of paper with numbers on it, as your your payment for your suffering.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Morris, I was having a conversation with you. Of course, when you were doing your Sunday special, and we actually mentioned because we actually mentioned
The
the trade.
chat watching. That's what it is. The chat.
Um, we actually were talking about the trades back then, Morris, of
Yes.
how the slaves were being transferred via cargo and all that kind of thing.
Yes. Yes, they weren't mentioned as cargo. They were never ever mentioned as human. If they are going to be sent, say for instance, I am sending 10 slaves from Clarendon to Trelawney. I would say to the person on the next end at Trelawney, I am sending you a bundle of wood. Or I am sending you a cargo containing XYZ. I'm not going to say human because you never should ever mention that it's human, because once it's human you're mentioning, then they're going to know that you're trying to free slaves. That's why when I did the series on Harry Tubman up here, and she from Maryland, she was from Maryland. She walked from Maryland to Delaware and all of that to get most of these slaves freedom, and most of these slaves were from the Caribbean that she freed, because she saw this whole thing as a way of moving cargo. So when the underground train, and you hear they always talk about the underground railroad, that's what they were talking about when you hear they talk about the underground railroad. Read that book for yourself, the underground railroad, and then you learn how these slaves were transported from one place to another. Was never mentioned by as human, but as bundle of wood, cargo, or other. It's like that. That's how they were mentioned. And that's on how they get the trafficking done and going about. And once she freed them, she made sure the course was real clear for them to go. And it's the same thing within most of the Caribbean countries, how the underground, the Methodists and the Baptists did the underground railroad. And most of these ministers were involved with this underground trade that was going on.
Indeed. I bet you didn't know that, Jazzy.
Some of them I do know, like the whole story of Harriet Tubman and so forth. Yeah, but as for ministers engaging in the freedom of slaves, not really.
Well. For example, Paul Bogle, George William Gordon, Sam Sharp, those were Baptist men who a lot of them used the church to get away from a lot of stuff.
Yes, indeed, they did. Especially Sam Sharp. Sam Sharp played a big role when it came to that. Paul Bogle himself did too. Because remember when Paul Bogle marched into Stony Gut, and then when he started the revolution, and then that was how he managed to get most of these slaves free through the revolution that he started.
Indeed.
And even Marcus Garvey himself, even after Marcus Garvey came to the United States and got himself into little mist and mouth here and there, and they deported him back to Jamaica. And then Jamaica didn't want him in long, and he left from there and went to England. But he did his fair share. Even George William Gordon himself, most of these men that we've heard about, they were a part of some Baptist movement or some Methodist movement or the Anglican movement, and that's how most of these churches got started with Underground Railroad and fed these slaves and helped us able to transfer them. I read a book which really opened my eyes many years ago, The Middle Passage.
Yep.
That book make you cry, and Viking Sunset. Those two books make you cry, because when you realize how slaves were really treated, and when you notice that they got their freedom, even when I saw the movie Kunta Kinte, that movie, I would never watch it again.
Yeah, indeed.
It breaks your heart.
Yes.
But here's something I want to share with you real quickly. Why is it important to celebrate Emancipation Day? Why do we think it is important to celebrate Emancipation Day? One of the reasons Emancipation Day serve as a reminder of a struggle and triumph of Jamaican slaves. People. It is a time to celebrate the resilience, determination, and cultural contribution of those who endure slavery. It also serves as a reminder that the fight for freedom and equality is a continuous journey. That simply means it's not finished.
Yeah.
Not until we recognize your black brother, regardless of his hair, regardless of his skin, regardless of his culture. And we have to stop criticizing people about their hair. We have to stop criticizing people about their skin, and that's when we will truly appreciate the whole concept of freedom.
Indeed. But you see, I always tell people, if something happens to you, you have to tell yourself and make your mind up that it is done, because everything starts from the mind and heart.
Exactly.
It's like a dog, for example, who is tied up for years, and even after the shackles and chains have been broken, he still stands there like, I'm still tied. I'm not sure if I should go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Indeed, because guess what? That's what he knew from day. That's what it knows from day one. It knows
exactly.
It can only go to a certain length, and once that length is ended, he can't go any further, or he can't move at all.
That's it. That's it.
So
and that is why, as Jazzy said earlier, and I think we said it earlier, you have to the mind. See that whole thing, the mind concept. Your mind has to truly be freed to understand what is happening, that you can incorporate whatever is happening and put it into practice.
Indeed.
Just to further add, when you look at the whole emancipation and the free, slaves, like I mentioned earlier, yes, we got our freedom, but our colonizers,
yes,
understand that yes, they can free the body, but because of how long our ancestors have been in slavery.
Oh man, I tell you,
we haven't. That's the most difficult thing to free, because even when you look at now, the way that we as Black people act, you can still see the remnants of colonization, the remnants of slavery still in a lot of us. We still believe that nothing in our country is good enough until it comes from outside. We still believe that our people still have to go outside of St. Lucia, outside of Jamaica, outside of the Caribbean, for us to see them as valuable people.
Yeah, sometimes they have to leave their own homeland before they can even be accepted for who they are. You remember a time when, back in the years, when a light-skinned person could not walk in a bank and get a bank job?
That's true.
A black man couldn't. A black person was not able to. But now, you can. Now, even with, when I look back the other day, I remember my sisters when they were growing up, and my mother used to shiny bump their hair. I don't know if anybody remember that. And that was something from back then, that was something from back in the slavery days.
Yeah.
And I got to realize.
Yeah.
But it was not accepted until later in Jamaica when you could go to your job with your hair like that. I remember Joan Hutchins when she went to work, and after a while they really accepted it and said, okay, it's fine for her. It's just a style. So people used to look at it even as it does. Your hair don't look right, come and work. But it's a style.
But you see, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. We, as Black people, have to understand that, you see, Martin Luther King did it. Sam Sharp did it. Paul Bogle did it. Others did it. Telling themselves, look, I am free and no one can stop me. Why? Because they did not only say it physically, they've done it in their mind.
Exactly. It's a mindset thing.
Indeed.
And that's why and that's why you have to make sure the mind is free before the body can be free. The mind has to be free before the body can be free. You can't let the body be free before the mind, or else the mind is going to still go back to what it was. Yes. So you have to free the mind first in order for the body to be free and then for your spirit to be free, that you can roam and say, yes, I know I have freedom, and be grateful and be thankful for the freedom. You can't appreciate freedom until you're really free in your mind.
Yeah. And of course, on that note, let's head back into a mini musical break, and we'll come back with the discussion. Of course, you're still locked in and loaded, of course, inside of the Soothing Transition, but with a difference this evening. Let me shout out to Athena, Kendrick, Allison, and the rest of the team locked in and loaded. Let me shout out to, of course, DJ Vision for locking in and loaded. Don't worry, boss. I'll play your Bob Marley's for you. But, of course, you know exactly how we go. Information first, eh? Of course, like I said, we still have 3 very special guests in studio. Of course, everybody should know by now my partner in crime, Jazzy Smith. He is in studio, as well as we have 2 very special guests. We have Matthew Anderson from out of St. Lucia, and of course, Mr. Bill Morris from Jamaica/America. Let's head into a mini musical break, and we'll be right back. Of course, let me say good evening to Elise and Eric for locking in.
Mama Africa, Mama Africa, am I coming home? Am I coming home? Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I'm feeling fine, and I hope you're fine too. Hello, Mama Africa, how are you? I hope when you hear these words, you're
to Zimbabwe. Let's go with Robert Nesta Marley. Let's go.
Got the right to decide his own destiny. Every man got the right to decide his own destiny. And in this judgment there is no partiality. So arm in arms with arms, we'll fight this little struggle. 'Cause that's the only way we can overcome a little trouble. Brother, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're so right. We gon' fight, we'll have to fight, we gonna fight, fight for our rights. Not to trade it in a Zimbabwe, it's it up. Every man got the right to decide his own destiny. And in this judgment there is no partiality. So arm in arms with arms, we'll fight this little struggle. 'Cause that's the only way we can overcome a little trouble. Brother, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're so right. We gon' fight, we'll have to fight, we gonna fight, fight for our rights. Not to trade it in a Zimbabwe, it's it up in Zimbabwe, mash it up in a Zimbabwe. Africans are liberate. Zimbabwe. No more internal power struggle. We come together to overcome the little trouble. Soon we'll find out who is the real revolutionary. 'Cause I don't want my people to be contrary. And brother, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're so right. We'll have to fight, we gonna fight, we'll have to fight,
This is Marcia Griffiths with a track called Dreamland.
There's a land that I have heard about so far across the sea. There's a land that I have heard about so far across the sea. To
Yes, indeed, 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 indeed. Dreamland, courtesy of the queen of reggae. I'm speaking of Marcia Lynette Griffiths. That's Marcia Lynette Griffiths. Of course, she is crowned queen of reggae at the second of, well, the top of the second hour. Of course, indeed, like I said, it's 3 solid hours of non-stop music and information right here on the Emancipation edition of the Soothing Transition.
Sweet Ladies A, Monday to Friday, Royal Selection 9 to 12, on your #1 radio station, Zollyhood Radio, where the magic happens, the home of Zollyhood stars, only on Zollyhood Radio, where the magic happens.
What's up, everybody? DJ Vision here. Catch me every Thursday night right here on Zollyhood Radio, where the magic happens, from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific, 9 to 11 p.m. Central in Jamaica, and 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time for Zollyhood Club Vibes. I plan to bring you nothing but the hottest club mixes and great energy and good vibes right here on Zollyhood Radio, where the magic happens. That's Thursdays, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific, 9 to 11 p.m. Central, and 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern. See you there.
Of course. Catch the man himself, the man with the plan, DJ Vision. Of course, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. JA. That's, 10 to 12 a.m. Eastern Standard, right here on Zollyhood Radio with the Zollyhood. He calls it the Zollyhood Club House. Indeed. But of course, he has another show on Saturdays.
What's up, everybody? DJ Vision right here. Catch me every Saturday for The Last Man Standing right here on Zollyhood Radio, where the magic happens, from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific, 6 to 8 p.m. Central and Jamaica, and 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. That's Saturdays. Last Man Standing right here, Zollyhood Radio, where the magic happens. See you there.
More hits, more music, more
Zollyhood Radio.
This is Judy Mowat with a track called Black Woman.
Black woman, ooh, black woman, like the troubled lawn. You trod one of life's roughest roads with the heaviest load. To be someone to belong, to nearing your mile and a half furlong. Don't give up now, just pray for strength now, for you I dedicate my song. La 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 la.
So big like that, you know what we say? Come down here now, rhythm.
DJ Double G.
Yes, indeed. It is 4 minutes after the top of the hour. Of course, indeed. We still have in studios with us Jazzy Smith. We have also Matthew Anderson and Mr. Bill Morris inside of the Emancipation edition of the Soothing Transition. Gentlemen, we're back with you. So, I was looking at a sheet of information that Jazz sent me, and we're gonna just dive into that just about now. So let's go, Jazz.
Okay, so I mentioned it already, but just to dive into more details, that's for Maurice and Matthew Anderson just to give their feedbacks on it. How has the legacy of slavery, continued to impact Black communities today, both tangible and intangible ways? Anyone can go first.
Yes, there is still a lot of that is happening in a lot of communities today among young Black men who fully doesn't, maybe hadn't grown up with any form of parenting to guide them or any form of full education to understand what slavery is and what all of this is all about. Some of them, if you even ask them, they will tell you what you're talking about because some of them never had the opportunity to go to school. Some of them never had books and pencils so they can be able to learn these things. So a lot of the information is shut away from them. And it is sad to know that most of our young Black men are lacking in some of these areas where this whole thing is, discrimination. And when you look down the line, some of the things that face them as young Black men, that's why we see so many of our young Black men end up behind bars, end up in some situation because of lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. And in their mind, as I said earlier, the mind has to be free in order for them to be able to function the way that they need to function. And if the mind is not functioning, then it's going to cause a cripple to the whole body and to the whole concept of their being. And then this is what's going to cause most of them to end up into the situation where they are. And then on the outside, there is nothing for them to be able to learn, no cultural groups or anything like that to help most of them. And then most of them, even if there are groups that can help them, they don't want to be a part of these groups that will help them to build their structure, to build their knowledge, to build their ability, so they will learn to appreciate themselves. And that's why most of them have lost their identity. I watched a video some time ago where this young boy said he doesn't want to be Black anymore. And literally, what you'd call it now, what they call it again out there, turn himself and actually say he wants to be white. He doesn't want to be Black. I once again saw one where a mother literally tell her child, you're not Black. And on the interview, the interviewer asked her, so what if they appreciate? She said, no, they will learn from now that they are not Black. And they will. So you see, what she's putting into their mind is putting away their culture from them and locking them into a different whole mindset of culture. And this is what is so disturbing and alarming to a lot of them, that they don't know their true identity. And because of that, they are lost and they are searching for answers everywhere they possibly can. So they will try to find the answers in drinking, they will find the answers in drugs, they will find the answers in so many different things, robbing and stealing, because they feel that's the way. But that's not the way of a Black man. Not the way. A Black person is, if you go back into the Bible, Black was spoken of very, very much. Black was treated as royalty. And people may think that, hey, Black is just talk about in slavery. Yes, we may be in slavery, but we have come out of it. We have to learn to realize to ourselves that we are no longer in bondage. We are out of it and learn to stand up. That's why Bob Marley had to write that song, Get Up, Stand Up for Your Right. That was one of the reasons why he wrote that song. Get up, stand up for your right, and realize who you truly are, and accept yourself for who you are. And not until they can accept themselves for who they are, then they will learn to appreciate everything.
Indeed, I totally agree.
You see, the thing is, like I keep saying, we have seen instances where, like Morris said, if you don't tell yourself that you are this type of person, because a lot of persons are not proud of themselves. They do different things to them, to themselves. Like Maurice said, try to bleach the hair, try to bleach the skin, try to you know be a white kid per se. When truth is, the white kids, quote unquote, want to be like a black person. I mean, and they're not going to bleach their skin. They're gonna do the way of life of the black person. You know what I mean? They're not gonna bleach them. They're not gonna, put some black paint on them.
No, they're not going to go through that process. They would rather more act in a sense, act
Exactly.
their skin or their hair. That's what for the black man is going to change his skin and his hair to become a white person.
Yeah.
Which is totally wrong.
Indeed.
That's our problem. We are trying to adopt. We're trying to culture.
We're not.
We're not, and we believe that because we make our skin white, if we were to dress white, we were to behave white, that we will be white. But that's not how it works.
You see, one of the problems is because we have been indoctrinated in a bad way with this whole concept of white and black. We have been indoctrinated. I cannot remember when I was growing up ever hearing racism that much in Jamaica. I cannot recall. If it happened, it happened, and I don't know. But it may have happened. As I said, yes, in the earlier years, it have happened when a black person could not walk in a bank and get a job. If you're here, if you're not light skin, and have long, pretty hair, you couldn't get the job.
Mm-hmm.
That was a form of racism right there. Otherwise, the other races in your face is other kind of racism in your face, but not so much about you being black and you being, only unless you hear first say, oh, you're a Negro man, you're Chinese, you're something. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Okay. We have Mr. Anderson back on the call. Mr. Anderson, before you join us, I was just asking how has slavery affected the black community, both tangible and intangible?
It has, as we said, it has, really affected them very bad, because some black people even still think today, as I said, they're still in slavery. They're not free. Because I've heard where black people still ask the question, when are we going to stop being oppressed? When are we going to stop being oppressed? You see, our slave was being oppressed so much. And because of that oppression, it descends down from one generation to generation. And you see, if that curse is not broken, which I have to use that term because that's exactly what has happened. If that curse is not broken, or if that spell is not broken, it's going to go on from one generation to a next generation until the curse is broken, and then they will accept and believe that, hey, the curse has been broken. I'm no longer a slave. I'm free. I am free. And not until they accept the ability to say, yes, I am free, and free indeed. Not until.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes. I was just waiting. Truthful. How has slavery affected us tangibly as people? Well, look at the history as from where we came from, Africa. And we were stolen and kidnapped and brought to the Isles and Americas. The slavery, the main thing is it robbed us of our history. We lost our bearing, like our base, Like if I put you on a bus and if I blindfold you, bring it to a stranger and drop you there. And you don't know. At some point in time, you have to settle. But you don't know. Because you don't even know where you're there. unless you ask another person. Then you have to adjust. But if I blindfold you and I put you in China, that's in real trouble because you can't speak the language, you can't read the text. It's not legible. So even if you had a PhD and I put you in China, your PhD don't worth anything unless you have a PhD in Chinese or whatever the name of the language. Wow. The reality is, when they took us from the motherland and brought us here, and they changed our name, we lost during my association by our rooted memory, like our deep memory, like our DNA memory. They broke that, man. I would just say, they try to hold the black population.
Yeah. I wonder if I can find that song.
But I know, sir. Yeah, that song,
I wonder if I can find it somewhere. You never know.
You never know. But, the religion is one of the toughest ones. We lost our religion. And let me jump and say something to that maybe we haven't thought about. Because I'm from St. Lucia and we have two Nobel laureates. One of them did something remarkable. And that's Arthur Lewis. He was able to become a professor of economics in a time when black people wasn't even allowed to sit on a bus the same like a white man in America. And he was in England in the heart of the colonists. And if we don't, the reason we have to remember what happened with Arthur Lewis is that we must remember that was the war that educated European and the other ones and them that knew nothing about hygiene and science and understand anything about the fundamental principles. They were just living a simple life in a barn, rain animals and things so, and no taxes. I mean, we better understand the level of ignorance that these people had before the Moors came in and educate them. But one thing about our colonizers I would just want to mention about them. Remember, they did not go to Africa and take us, They were given to them. So in some way, what happened is they know that there's a background that we should not know. There's a history we must not know. And until and when we get to put that history in its proper proportion, then what is it? The tangible things that we missed out on are less valuable than the intangible things. It's the intangible things that has enslaved us, not the tangible things.
Your love cannot
Agreed. I'm happy that you mentioned, Sir Arthur Lewis, because he has been one of the rising stars in economics, back in the days, in the heart of England, Europe, and he was so great, that Singapore, embraced his model. And we in St. Lucia, we in the Caribbean, we still arguing, we still debating on whether we should use his model. So I'm happy at the Goswin because the next question I'm going to ask, how has
Just before you ask that question, I was just sent a text message, a WhatsApp message from Ebony, and she said, "Continue preaching the truth. Karma is real."
yes, indeed, it's very real. It's very real. So the question I'm going into, since like you mentioned, our economics, Louis, we as black people, one thing that we lack is we don't have a stronghold over our finances. Both personally and as a country, we still look forward to the IMF. We still look forward to the IMF for loans. We still look forward to England for loans. We still look forward to the Americans for loans and
IMF, all of that.
Yeah. So that is, since we don't have an economic foundation to start on, you realize our issues. So we don't have any black banks or any black anything economy. So how can we as a person come out of that? Because this is one of these major things that is affecting us as black people.
You see,
we can, we can come out of it, because I myself look at it just the other day. Because if you truly read the Bible, black people was never ever poor in the Bible. There was no poor black person in the Bible. Black people are positive people. Black people are people of integrity. But because we allow, as I said earlier, the white and other colonials to brainwash us and make us feel inferior, that's the problem. And that's how we cannot hold down finances. We cannot be good, success business people, because we are not helping our black brothers and sisters to rise. Instead of we build each other. You notice how the China man does. Here, I don't know if it's the same in the Caribbean. Here, a China man will open a restaurant, and 10 of them will share a place. And once he gets that one joint start, he puts it off to that one. Then the other 9 will move and start another one. And that's how they help each other. But we do not help our black brother and brother. We don't do that. If we see our black brother start a Caribbean store, if we support him, we cut him down.
No, here's the
We
thing.
discriminate him.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing before Matthew chimes in. The difference between us as black men and the operative word is black men. compared to a Chinese, for example, or a Japanese, more so the Chinese. Here's exactly how they work. Picture ants, for example. Whenever it is going to rain, do you realize the colony works together to get?
I was going to come to that. Thank you for raising it.
Do you realize exactly? So, and do you realize exactly an aviary of bees? Do you realize exactly how they work? They work in a team.
Yes, the ants work hand in hand. The ants, they have different class of ants. If you really go into the Bible, you'll find it too about the ants. How they work together and build together.
Now here's the thing. A Chinaman, for example, Bill opens a business tomorrow morning. And for some strange reason, 2 weeks later, Jazzy opens a business. If I go to Bill's business place and cannot find something, do you know exactly what Bill will do? He will then say to me, I don't have it. You can check Jazzy across the street. If you go into a black store, the first thing they'll tell you, oops, we don't have it, but we'll source it for you. Which means, I'm not sure exactly when that will be, but excuse me.
Good luck. Yes,
exactly. Good luck with you finding it. That's the difference. And then
that's the big difference for real.
And then here's the thing. Bill opens a business as a black man. Jazzy opens the business as a black man. Now here's the difference. Both businesses are on the same block. Do you know exactly what will happen? Bill will start to tell me, oh, do not buy from Jazzy because this and that and that. And Jazzy will tell me the same thing. Don't buy from Bill because this and that and that.
Yep.
Why? No.
cutting down each other. That's what we're talking about, cutting down each other instead of building up each other. And, where we can say build economically wise. And then you see the problem because of that, when you see most of these men and black men go into politics and go into these things, instead of trying to help each other, they are looking for themselves. Exactly. Instead of building the economic system, instead of building their country, instead of borrowing, we should not be borrowers, we should be more lenders than borrowers.
Well, can I jump in and say something crazy?
Sure. Yeah.
Indeed.
Let me tell you something. You see, first thing is, economics is not for black people. Economics is about lack. And black people, originally, if you look at the history, we were royalty.
Exactly, as I said earlier.
We never knew nothing about save nothing, nothing like that, no lack, anything. So, we were never into economics because every day we wake up, food there. Every time we look out, everything there. So, as original kingsmen in the kingship that we were in our original nest, if you look back into the historical account, you realize that has caused us to become non-productive, and we never acquired the power of productivity. And it's so bad that in St. Lucia, you still hear the most educated academically among us still say that this child is not doing well academically, so they should learn a trade. I'm like, what kind of pussyfoot thing is that? So they're saying that it's only people that don't go. So I usually want to ask them, teachers, smart people, I say, Mr. Teacher, Mr. Head of the class, the university, or whatever, the college or something. What are you saying in fact? Are you saying that when you say academics, are you saying that English language, mathematics, geography, what are you talking about when you say academic? Because that's the foolishness that we attain to. Because we must comprehend that the most fundamental knowledge base for any nation to thrive, they have to comprehend the fundamental principles of engineering, not mathematics specifically, because mathematics, we are not taught mathematics in school anyway. We are taught arithmetic.
Yeah.
Arithmetic.
Correct.
Now,
Correct.
Arithmetic is what you use to count mass and money. To tell him that his money is correct. Mathematics will see you and make you say to yourself, wait a minute, why am I working for master? And master don't know shit about what. And master is the one collecting the money. And you say to yourself, say to master, I have a plan. I have an idea. Here's what I need to tell you. From today, I'm going to set the pay. And you will see if he can tell you leave. He can't tell you leave because you're the source of the income. But you don't realize that. That's why Master tell you, do not bite the hand that feed you. That's the biggest bit of bullshit. You must bite it. You must bite the hand. Any hand you see feeding you, if it's your hand feeding you, bite it. Because if it's your mother's hand and you bite it, she will not rain fire and say, don't worry, you bite the finger, next week, next month, it's time for me to slaughter you. So, no problem. Because when you're in a barn, because that's what they consider us, they consider us for feed going, cows, cattle. So, the cattle mindset is like this. Don't bite the hand that feed you. Because we feed in the cattle, The question is, why are they feeding you? They're feeding you so they can slaughter you. They're feeding you so they can enslave you and use your energy. They're not feeding you because they love you. So you must bite the hand. When you bite the hand, like the great Solomon decided he was going to cut the child in half, and the real mother said, no, it's okay. To the other woman, if you bite the hand, you will know that feeding hand is that hand that will feed you to nurture you because they love you, or is that hand that will feed you so that you can fatten you so they can slaughter you. And that's where we as a race, like you were saying earlier on, that when we, like in St. Lucia, if we have a hurricane, a storm, whatever, so just mash up everything. The only way you can rebuild a country is to have an engineering mindset. So if an engineering mindset, when you see a pile of rubble, you don't see garbage. You see potential. You see the potential. You see the potential of what you can transform it into. But Africans like to say that the white man come and take the resources from Africa. That's a lie. That is a big lie. The things that the white man is taking from Africa was never considered a resource by the Africans. The things that the white man is taking from Africa was considered useless in Africa. Because the only things that, like right now in St. Lucia, we see grass. People have weed whackers everywhere walking it down. Because they never ask themselves, what's that plant? What's the value of it? They don't know. They don't care. So if tomorrow a white man come and decide that all this grass that there is a herb that has value and starts to grow it on a plantation, now we're going to start realizing, oh, this grass has value. Why we always have to wait for the white man to tell us what has value? And sorry, I'm going to end on that note. Marijuana, ganja, I'm really disappointed in the so-called University of the West Indies. Because when ganja was demonized, where were all our scholars and our wise men that in the university that were supposed to be the luminaries? Why they didn't know to say, hold on a second, yes, maybe ganja might not be something that people, youth and things should engage in, but let's find out what's the value of that herb. They who were involved in the demonizing of it, and it had to take us this long. After we kill our children, our grandchildren, we allow the police to rape them and strip them. Today, the white man tell us marijuana is medicine. But the Rastaman said that from the beginning. But nobody. So you see what I'm trying to tell you is like the very historical account, the history. We should know about herbs. That's our ancestral knowledge. But when the white man passed the rule and say that marijuana, he demonized marijuana, nobody from our luminaries, our university graduates, to be educated academically. Nobody stood up and say, wait a minute, that's bullshit. It's a plant, it's a natural shrub from the earth. It can't be what they did.
Exactly. And one thing people don't understand, history, when you break it down, you get is and story. So whoever is writing the story determines the narrative, and that's what we as Black people do not understand. We as Black people, we do not document our history, our knowledge. So we're always looking for somebody else to write. Even in the school, when you look at slavery and so forth, those books are not our books. Those are European books that we brought down to indoctrinate our children. But those which Black person is writing books, specifically get towards educating, teaching our youth. Hardly none of them is writing.
Now here's the thing, guys.
Right. I didn't say writing. I will give a I'll give you an example of something very serious, and just in case I forget it. Just imagine if a caveman were to enter a server room with all these millions and millions of cables and things to various. And he was in search of some of his wild vine to bundle his sticks. He would be excited because he would see all these strings there, and he would try to rip them off and realize he just landed on a treasure trove of cords and strings and twine, or whatever you call it, to bundle his sticks. He would not know the value or the purpose of this equipment and these machines that were there. And as a result of that, the black race was so advanced, it did not have to document anything. The black race was so advanced, we understood that we can store data in anything. We can store it in rocks, we can store it in trees, we can store it in water, we can store it in DNA, we can store it in blood. So we already had the science of upload and download. We didn't have to make markings upon rocks to translate data. That's why our ancestors were masters, they were shamans. The shaman was like the head server that was able to translate data across certain boundaries and keep it a secret away from certain people who are not, if you are not of the bloodline or you're not initiated to receive the information, you couldn't receive it because it was not scribed. We were not scribers. Black people are not scribes. The scribes and the describers are the other race. Black people, when they upload and download data, our race that's advanced that we knew all information exists everywhere in the ether, in the Akash, wherever it existed, and we knew how to tap into these systems and download it. Those in the community who had that responsibility as the elders, to be the ones who were the curators of the knowledge, received it and initiated accordingly. And so we did not need to scribble. Now, the scribbling, that's why we think that the hieroglyphs that the Egyptians have there, we think it's a story. It's not a story because Europeans and these people, they're scribbling. But the markings on the walls in the Egyptian temple, these are codes. It's like a QR code. They're not supposed to read them like that. When you focus your eye on these symbols, when the photon energy travels into your brainstem, the information gets decoded within you. It's not something that it's not static. It's dynamic. So they will never be able to read Egyptian because they try to read it like how they're reading the storybook. It's not the same thing.
Yeah. Agreed?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that. So don't demonize, don't say, I used to say it before, black people never write anything. Yeah, well, that's good and bad at the same time because few information that they were able to struggle out of a few wise black people back in the days because so much they've done with, so much mischief they have done with it. I mean, that race, clearly you can tell they're not from this planet because when we say Mother Earth, that's not their mother. Anybody who the Earth is your mother, you will not be testing atomic weapons in the Earth and drilling holes in the Earth. Everything these people doing is parasitic in nature. They dig it out stuff from the body of the Earth to build things on the surface of the Earth with it. I mean, and then they turn it into garbage and it becomes pollutant because they don't have, they're parasites. Their nature is to be parasitic. When they came here, they found a race of people who lived in harmony with nature. And they thought that lifestyle was civilized. So they brought civil. But the very civil they bring is destroying them. Now they're saying, past. But they don't want to create them for themselves. So their nature is because they're not from this planet. That's not their mother. They're parasites. And that's why the interterrestrial come to your planet, they rape it, they scrape it, and then they move to another one. So when the Bible say, by the works you shall know them, just look at the works and you can tell who it is. So we have been subjected to that race because we fell as a race. We fell from grace. But as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. So a time is coming now where black race will be restored. All our greatness will be restored. And the Mazungos, they now will suffer and they will be banished back to where they were before. It's the underworld. And we, black people, which are the surface dwellers, will be the ones who are going to be able to dwell on the surface of the planet. They cannot dwell on the surface. They have to go underground because their DNA cannot handle the thin shift between the sun and the earth. And I think it's a step down. I'm saying that so what we're talking about here, why black people, why this, is because it's a curse put up by our Creator because of we fell from grace. So they put us to be subjected by the Mazungos for a certain period of time. That time is now coming to an end. And then what we're going to see is the restoration of the original black man, which is when you say Solomon is not a man. Solomon is every man of the sun. Soleil. Black people are Soleil, man of the sun. That's what it is.
It's indeed.
With that said, of course.
He really hit the nail on it because that's exactly how it is, because he really said something which I am going to bring out, and that's because especially when you go turn to the Bible and you see for yourself where black race is coming from and how black were highly respected in the Bible. And as he said, it's because of what is happening today. But blacks have to rise up. We have to rise and take our stand and believe that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Because that's what the word says, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And we must not allow ourselves anymore. That's why the scripture says in Galatians 5 and verse 1, we should not allow ourselves to be in bondage anymore. Because Christ has set us free. Christ has given us that liberty. And that's what it means when we hear about Africa and all these different countries Emancipation Day. That's what Emancipation Day is all about. Setting free the mind, the body, and the spirit. Setting them free so they can come together as one and begin to worship as one. Because black people know how to worship. Black people know how to worship, and black people know how to really do things. But because we allow ourselves to be underestimated by the white and by the other inferior, and they become inferior about us because of what we have and the knowledge and ability that we have.
Yes, indeed. Of course, let's take a quick musical break, and then, of course, we come back with our final segment as it regards to this conversation, as it regards to the conversation on slavery and the whole Emancipation Day. So let's take a quick musical break, and we'll come right back with our final segment of, and of course, you're still locked in and loaded to the soothing transition, but with a difference. Of course, it is the Emancipation Day, Emancipation version of the soothing transition. Let me say good evening to Elise, and her husband Eric. She said, of course, to everyone in studio, good night, and of course, hi, and she's enjoying the show to everyone. Of course, it is now 14 minutes before we say the top of the hour. Let's hit a quick musical break, and then we head right into the final segment of the discussion.
Bang, 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 bang.
DJ Double G.
Really? If it's not DJ Double G, I'm not interested.
In the mix.
Like me, you struggled long. You trod one of life's roughest roads and get the heaviest load. To be someone to lean on, to nearing your mile and a half furlong. Don't give up now, just pray for strength now. For you, I dedicate my song. La 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 la. We are the same ones in the plantation, lashes to a scheme. On auction blocks we were chained and cold, and of merchandise. Commonly abused when warned we were refused and thrown in the garbage bin. But no need for that now. Free yourself of that now and help me sing my song. La da 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 da.
feel alright. Saying, let's get together and feel alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let them all pass all their dirty remarks. There is one question I'd really love to ask. Is there a place for the hopeless sinners who has hurt all mankind? Just a Savior's own belief. One love. What about a one heart? What about let's follow Marcus Garvey.
Indeed. Let's, of course, you're locked in and loaded, of course, inside of the soothing transition, but with the difference, the Emancipation edition, of course, indeed. And with some 8 minutes to go, of course, let's head into our final segment before I spin off for the next hour. Gentlemen? Welcome back.
Okay. Well, thank you. As we are going into our final hour, I propose this question. We have mentioned, parts of it already in terms of how can we come out of this whole mental slavery. But in your point of view, what are the key things that we need to do as Black people for us to build a future, not for ourselves, but more importantly, for our children to come and freeing themselves from this whole mental slavery?
One of the thing is you have to first believe that you have this, and then once you have kids, which everybody should by now, tell your kids about it, because at the end of the day, it's not like maybe 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago where there was no technology. You know what I mean? There is technology, which means kids will go and find out stuff on their own. So if you don't tell them, they will find out. But I've always grown up with this, with this. They always say, teach from the home. You know what I mean? So everything starts from the home. So
well, I will just add, you mentioned, technology being present, but yes, some children will do the necessary research, but it's needed to empower and to educate themselves. But I realized lately, a lot of youth don't use technology the way they're supposed to use it. They're playing games, they just use it for communication, but they haven't utilized the tools that are in terms of them. First and foremost, for the education. Second, as we mentioned earlier, for the economic freedom, because with the technology, everybody can become economically free. Because there's so many things that you can do to market yourself and to empower your brand and so forth. So but I don't find that the youth is using the technology as it's supposed to. But that might be just my thoughts.
The thing is, you see, the word is technology. So take as much knowledge from whatever you have in your hand. You know what I mean? So as much as it's spelled TECH, we should TAKE knowledge from whatever gadget or whatever we have in our hands. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, knowledge is key. And if you look on Marcus Garvey, for example, he has been preaching knowledge since. You know what I mean? A man who, did the best he could. You know what I mean? Did the best he could in terms of, even got, getting himself into, the hands of the law, etc., etc. Hence why he became a lawyer. However, the thing is, I always say to myself, and growing up with grandma and all that kind of stuff, use what you have to the best of your, to the best of your ability. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's wise to use the tools that you have. Whatever tools are out there. Back in the days, we did not have all that is out there today. But we made use of the library, get our hands on whatever books we could, get our hands on encyclopedia, and all those things. Kids don't invest in anymore. If a child is investing in an encyclopedia, something wrong. But you see, and they don't realize that the encyclopedia is right there in their hands. That's why most of the schools are afraid now even to put tablets and so forth in some of them because some of them erase the textbooks off the tablet and put what they feel like putting on there. No, I said these things should be monitored. And they put these things in their hands. They should be monitored and be left at school under some safe security and then, know that, hey, this is what the purpose of this tool is for educational wise. As you said earlier, the education is there, The way for them to learn and the way for them out is here. And as we said, our grandparents were a big help. Big help, big plus. Those of us who had grandparents, they were a big plus. They made sure you learn. And they teach you from what they know. And then, what grandparents know are like little children. And you want
grandparents are not 45.
They're not even teaching their children what grandparents would normally teach their children. They're teaching them opposite.
But you see, here's the thing. I can tell you this for a fact, Bill, that schools in Jamaica, the Ministry of Education, once they hand down these tablets or these gadgets, they have a specific code to track whatever the kids are doing on the various tablets.
That's very good.
So it's very not good. Like you can pick up. It's not like your mother or your father, randomly just picked up a tablet out of the store and handed it to Bill to say, "Hey, Bill, here is a present for you. You can do whatever you want." No, certain things you can't download because there has to be a confirmation code. There has to be some kind of, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, there got to be something structured for real. That's good that they are doing that because when the program had just came out, it was real good because I heard of students where their parents used or somebody check their tablet and do what they want. But I'm glad that it has been introduced.
Yeah, well, so I can tell you for sure, I'm not there physically, but I can tell you what in terms of what I've seen. Because I still have younger siblings going to school, cousins, nieces, etc., etc. So, once I'm around them, I, know exactly what's going on. But the thing is, I remember when I was going to school, like Bill said, once you have a research to do, it's always the library. Pick your dictionary up, your encyclopedia up, and you had to write with hands, you know what I mean? Now you can paste and copy and all that kind of stuff. No, I mean, not that I didn't do it at school, but it is much easier to do now.
Exactly. The resource is there. Why don't they make use of it? So you see, that's the thing, the resources, and they just have to learn. And what they have to learn to do is appreciate themselves for who they are. And they have to learn to accept things around them. And then one of the things also that we have to hope and pray that we will see more of, teachers will be more firm. Yes, there are some teachers who are firm in teaching and making sure that each child gets a good education. But there are some teachers who use some kind of language to these children and say, you're good for nothing, you're not going to come out to nothing. When you do that to the child, what do you think you're setting the child up for? Failure. You're setting the child up for failure. And then the child, in the black child in their mind figure, okay, and then what happens? The child get labeled as a child with deficiency, with a learning ability.
Not only that, but you are the very same teacher 2 years, 20 years down the road. Oh, he's begging on the streets now.
Exactly.
He's wiping cars.
Exactly. Look what he has turned out to.
But here's the thing.
It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy, because now you label the child, and the child is becoming what you have labeled him or she to become. So that's what it's called. Self-fulfilling prophecy. When COVID struck, COVID gave us a unique opportunity for us to
thank you very much. There's a good and there's a bad in COVID.
Advance our education system, and we had the the technology is in place, during COVID. And the sad part about the reality is that we seem to have gone back to the same old days before technologies. And to some extent, I don't know what to say because some of the teachers, I don't know if they're anti-technology or the age just not give it, but they just went back to what they knew, and until another pandemic comes. But the COVID gave us a unique opportunity for us to make our classroom more technologically friendly. But no, we have gone back to the olden days and wonder why our school system has not, advanced. But anyways,
well, I'll ask Anderson if he's still here well, or let me turn to Bill. Your final words, Bill, in terms of
my final word in all of this. We need unity. We need unity. And that's the bottom line. If we don't have unity, we can't stand together. We got to remember, as the song says, no man is an island. No man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me. Man grief is my own. We need one another. So we will defend each man as our brother, each man as our friend. It's time for us to build. It's time for us to rub shoulders together. It's time for us to really and truly stand up and be cool.
Are we there?
Yeah.
Are we there?
Yeah.
Okay.
continue, Bill.
Big reset is money.
As I said, it's time for us to stand up and be counted and to really be who we truly say we are. Black, red, yellow, pink, whatever we want to be. Be who we are and truly accept ourselves for who we are and allow ourselves to rise instead of allowing anybody to cut us down or anybody to hold us back in life.
Right, but can I say this thing? I need to say this. Anybody here? You guys here?
Yeah, you did it.
All right, let me just input this. Very important. Right? And why that's so important, I'll tell you why it's very important. And this is extremely important, I think. Because I went to school in Martinique, complimented the French government to do a 5-year course in a year and 7 months. No. I went to the army bar where there were 5 rounds at bulletproof glass. Who came in demonstrating different levels of ballistic glass. And the guys who owned the glass went behind it while the military guys would fire the ballistics at the glass. And they would not twitch, they would not shift, they would not even blink. Right? They were confident that their product was going to hold up against the type of round that were fired at it. Now, they examined the rounds first to make sure that these type of rounds, that their glass was going to be able to stop it. They don't have a fallback mechanism. So when the switching of the money into digital currency, no matter whether we like it or not, when the money becomes digital, that's when we're going to know who's who. Because a lot of us will try to say one thing or another. So the key is, once they change the money to a digital currency and they impose it upon us, that's when even we say one thing in our mouth now, but when the monetary system becomes digital, if not 90% of everybody is going to comply in order for them to be able to survive. Because we believe that if we don't have money, we can't survive, which is actually an illusion. But this is what's coming up now. And we, as a race, need to create our own currency outside Bitcoin. I'm not talking about Bitcoin at all. We need to learn to understand what is talent. A talent, in the early days, talent, money was called talent. And today, we forget that talent, money, all have talents. And talent is the only currency that you can spend anywhere you go in the world. Like prove it when I have to travel. If you leave here and you go to Guyana and you find yourself in the jungle and you want to trade in the jungle, there is no currency that you can present that will entice them because they don't use that. But if they are fetching water from the river and they travel a long distance and you figure out a way to get that water from the river closer or easier for them, you will be honored highly as if you were a governor or somebody high because they will respect your talent because your talent can make their lives better. Whether it's medicine, whether it's geography, whether it's whatever talent you have, that's the only currency that is real. Everything else is fiat, including gold and silver, because they on their own do not possess any to perform any task of its own. It's static, it's not dynamic. Only talents are dynamic. That's all I want to say.
Indeed. Indeed. And of course, we thank you, gentlemen. Of course, we had a beautiful discussion this evening pertaining to the Emancipation celebration. And like I said, of course, we thank you so much, Jazzy Smith, for getting Matthew to join us. And of course, we thank you so much, Matthew Anderson, and of course, the big man himself, Bill Morris. And of course, we thank you, like I said, and of course, the listeners, they have learned a lot, by you three, just having, this discussion. Of course, I'm sure the listeners can and will take a lot of information and run with it and learn, not only just take it, but learn from this discussion we had. Thank you, gentlemen.
And also to share it, not just to learn, but to share.
Indeed, not only to grab it and use it, but to share the information as well. Thank you very much, sir.
No problem.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Of course, indeed. Of course, we say 10 minutes after the hour. Of course, you're still locked in and loaded to the Soothing Transition, the Emancipation Edition, indeed.